Meeting regional players over in Jakarta, South Korean President Yoon says heavier responsibility lies with UNSC permanent members when it comes to sanctions on North Korea, seemingly targeting inaction by Russia and China. This as he condemns the regime's nuclear and missile development. Arrangements are being made in Russia's Far East for a meeting between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin, possibly for weapons supply. That's according to a Japanese media report. On top of China's economic woes, oil prices are cited as a factor in increasing uncertainties in the Korean economy. This as global oil costs are constantly climbing, fueling worries that they could hit the $100 per barrel threshold. It's September 7th, 2023. This is News Center. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon. Attending the East Asia Summit over in Jakarta, President Yoon has called North Korea's nuclear and missile development an existential threat to all. He stressed heavier responsibility lies with UNSC permanent members for sanctions on the regime, seemingly targeting inaction by Russia and China once again. Our correspondent, Oh Soo-young, starts us off from the capital.
President Yoon has called for global solidarity amid mounting threats to regional and human security by subversive forces amid geopolitical tensions surrounding North Korea, Russia, and in the South China Sea. Speaking at the East Asia Summit in Jakarta on Thursday, attended by some 18 regional countries, including the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the US, Japan, China, and Russia, Yoon laid out Seoul's position on regional and global crisis. On North Korea's nuclear and missile development, the South Korean leader said North Korea's weapons program not only violates United Nations resolutions, but poses an existential and direct threat to all countries attending the summit. He raised the need to block Pyongyang's illicit fundraising activities, which include cryptocurrency theft and illegal transshipment. Amid speculation that Russia and North Korea may strike up an arms deal, Yoon said member states of the Security Council have an even heavier duty of implementing UN sanctions on the regime. Also, Yoon touched on maritime tensions in the Indo-Pacific region, saying attempts to unilaterally change the status quo by force are unacceptable. He emphasized the need to establish a rules-based maritime order in the South China Sea, a key trade route where 21% of global trade and a third of crude supplies pass through. Seoul plans to expand maritime security cooperation with the ASEAN and protect freedom of navigation. The South Korean leader further raised concerns about the ongoing war in Ukraine, calling Russia's invasion a clear violation of international law. He also expressed concern over the ongoing violence in Myanmar and voiced support for ASEAN's efforts to resolve the crisis through inclusive dialogue. Yoon's remarks reflect Seoul's firmer stance on geopolitical issues, compared to previous administrations' more trade-oriented diplomacy. The top office says Seoul's growing push for freedom, peace and prosperity, shown in Yoon's multilateral diplomacy, is rooted in the spirit of Camp David, which South Korea, the US and Japan jointly declared last month in their trilateral summit.
We'll strive to respect ASEAN centrality while simultaneously enhancing common norms, values and predictability. In the process, we believe we can pursue sustainable, long-term growth and development measures across the entire Indo-Pacific region, including with ASEAN.
In their united approach to engaging with Indo-Pacific countries, particularly in the areas of advanced technology, cyber and maritime defense and development assistance, President Yoon aims to create new norms and build cooperation to uphold a liberal, rules-based order in the region and the world. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Jakarta.
With the summit between the leaders of North Korea and Russia likely to take place next week, South Korea's intel agency says Kim Jong-un could make a surprise move by taking a different route than what's widely expected when he travels from Pyongyang to Vladivostok. And a separate media report suggests China will send its vice premier to attend the forum where Kim and Putin will likely meet. Our foreign affairs correspondent Bae Eun-ji reports.
South Korea's intelligence agency has said North Korean leader Kim Jong-un may take an unexpected route when he travels to Russia for a meeting with the country's President Vladimir Putin. The senior spokesperson of the ruling People Power Party said the National Intelligence Service reported this during a parliamentary meeting on Thursday.
There is a possibility that Kim Jong-un can make a surprise move by choosing a different route than what has been revealed by media.
This comes after the New York Times said Monday local time, citing unnamed American and other officials, that Kim would likely travel from Pyongyang, probably by armored train, to Vladivostok, where he would meet with Putin. It was also reported that a delegation of about 20 North Korean officials recently traveled to Vladivostok by train in late August, and then flew to Moscow to plan for Kim Jong-un's upcoming trip. Separately, citing Russian government sources, Japan's NHK News also said the summit between Kim and Putin could take place in Vladivostok. It reported the meeting could take place at the Far Eastern Federal University on an island off central Vladivostok, where the Eastern Economic Forum will be held for 4 days, starting Sunday. It says security has already been tightened there, and that students and others entering the campus have been instructed to take COVID-19 tests. It added that a visit by the two leaders to military facilities in the region is also being considered. Meanwhile, China will reportedly send its vice premier to attend the same forum. Chinese ambassador to Moscow said this to Russia's TASS news agency on Wednesday, without specifying the delegate's name. There are 4 vice premiers in China's State Council. This indicates that the country's leader Xi Jinping will not be there, ending speculation over a possible trilateral summit between the leaders of North Korea, China, and Russia. 배은지, Arirang News.
South Korea's military has spotted a large number of personnel moving within North Korea as the regime is expected to hold a military parade on Saturday to mark its 75th founding anniversary. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said Thursday that they are tracking the schedule and situation of the commemoration event. No further details were mentioned regarding the military equipment that may be on display in the parade. China's economic woes and rising oil prices could increase uncertainties in the Korean economy. That's according to the nation's think tank. This as global oil costs are constantly climbing, fueling worries that they could exceed $100 per barrel. Our An Sung-jin explains.
Parts of South Korea's economy are recovering as the decrease in exports year-on-year has slowed. Yet external uncertainties are still affecting the overall industry. According to the Korea Development Institute on Thursday, total exports saw a year-on-year decrease in August of 8.4%. Compared to July, when shipments were down 16.4%, last month's figure shows an improvement over recent months. This is mostly attributed to a year-on-year increase in the exports of automobiles, vessels, and machinery. Chip exports also saw an improvement with a year-on-year drop in shipments, shrinking from 42.5% in February to 20.6% in August. However, the recovery in the semiconductor sector was not enough to fuel an overall increase in industry production. Amid fewer working days and a high base effect, production across all industries for July saw a decrease of 1.4%. In particular, production in the mining and industrial sectors, as well as the mechanical components area, saw the biggest drop. Increased economic uncertainties over China's escalating fiscal instability mainly contributed to a drop in business sentiment. Additionally, rising oil prices intensified this after Russia and Saudi Arabia extended their oil production cuts through the end of this year, raising energy prices. Their announcement pushed West Texas Intermediate crude oil to its highest in 10 months, while Brent crude went above $90 a barrel, increasing global market concerns. As long as oil price instability and economic conditions in China prevail, efforts to control consumer price inflation and improve production may be hindered despite some signs of a slow recovery. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Today, the rival lawmakers at the National Assembly once again questioned the cabinet, this time on the economy, ranging from the government belt-tightening for next year to the budget for the recent Jamboree event. Our political correspondent Lee Si-hoo reports.
The third day of parliamentary questioning of the government focusing on the economy started off with lawmakers pointing out the declining GDP growth rate.
Actual incomes have decreased. How does Mr. Prime Minister evaluate the economy of South Korea?
I want to say that the economy is in a very difficult situation. The global economy cannot freely use fiscal expansion or monetary easing policies as it used to due to high interest rates, high exchange rates and high prices. In times like these, I think it's very important that our economy doesn't fall into a crisis. And I tell you, we've put emphasis on this.
Prime Minister Han explained that the Yoon administration has made every effort to secure long-term fiscal soundness.
More importantly, in the mid to long term, I would say that we are embracing policies in such a way that we can achieve more sustainable growth, ensuring we stay competitive through 3 major reforms, including one in education.
Part of the administration's plan for sustainability involves tightening the budget. The main opposition Democratic Party, which has asserted the need to increase next year's budget, decried the proposed cut in R&D projects. The Prime Minister assured that innovation relies on the appropriate distribution of support and how efficiently it is used. The ruling People Power Party asked for clarification as to why the budget was slashed for Saemangum infrastructure projects following the recent fiasco during the World Scout Jamboree held at the reclaimed wetland, to which the Prime Minister replied,
"This is due to the massive tightening of the budget. This has nothing to do with the success of the World Scout Jamboree."
The PPP applauded the government's efforts during the Jamboree event, saying that swift decisions led to a, quote, happy ending.
With efforts made by the whole country, I think we had a happy ending, a successful conclusion. What do you think?
Yes, I totally agree with you. While it is true that there were some difficulties at the beginning, the whole nation, the government, the business community and local governments all worked together to do their best. And I heard from many Jamboree leaders and participants that they were very satisfied.
The PPP also called for the government's proactive promotion of domestic seafood products to help the fishing industry, while the government vowed to continue conducting radioactivity tests and other measures until people feel fully assured about their safety. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
China's exports dropped for the 4th consecutive month in August, but the decline was less steep compared to previous month. Data from China's General Administration of Customs released on Thursday showed that exports fell 8.8% last month compared to August the previous year. But the decline slowed to a single digits for the first time since June, signaling that the country's manufacturing sector may be showing signs of improvement. Imports fell by more than 7% year-on-year. China remains under economic pressure as it faces a property crisis and an ongoing slump in manufacturing amid weak global demand. Over in Poland, South Korea's cutting-edge military technology continues to garner much interest at a defense trade show. Our correspondent Kim Jong-un has the latest.
On day 2 of the 31st International Defence Industry Exhibition in Poland, South Korean defense companies promoted a variety of weapons to win additional orders. Hyundai Rotem announced that it is discussing a second contract for K2 tanks with Poland, following last year's order of 1,000 tanks.
It is a little later than initially planned, but because it is such a large and long-term project, there are quite a few things that need to be discussed.
Hyundai Rotem's representative for Europe added that there are many neighboring European countries, including Romania and Lithuania, that are showing interest in replacing their tanks. Meanwhile, Hanwha Aerospace signed an MOU with state-owned defense firm Polish Armaments Group for the localization of its Chunmoo multiple-launch rocket system. Last year, Poland bought some 280 Chunmoo rocket launchers, and the MOU is expected to lead to a second deal in the near future. On top of this, Hanwha Group promoted its Tangbogo 3-class submarine, as the Polish Navy is actively looking to procure submarines as part of its recently relaunched Orca submarine program. S&T Dynamics, a South Korean defense manufacturer, also promoted its products.
Many Polish soldiers had a look. People showed great interest in the 1500 to 1700 horsepower transmission for the K2 tank and the 1000 horsepower K9 transmission.
The CEO of Polish Armaments Group showed his appreciation for South Korea's cooperation and noted that the two countries are very similar in the sense that they both understand the dangers stemming from threats from a neighboring country.
We have entered a very far-reaching strategic cooperation already. If there's a threat to Poland or South Korea, then one country can help the other.
The CEO added that although it may not be visible now, he's confident that cooperation between the two countries will come into effect if one country is attacked. Choi Min-dang, Arirang News.
Following Japan releasing stored water from the defunct Fukushima nuclear power plant last month, local authorities in neighboring South Korea are making efforts to help the fishing industry. These include discount coupons, but more fundamentally, making sure that seafood items are safe. Our Moon Hye-ryun went to find out more.
More than a decade after an earthquake and tsunami damaged the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, Japan began to release treated wastewater into the ocean on August 24th, sparking concern both home and abroad over the safety of seafood caught in these waters. Following that disaster back in 2011, South Korea's fishing industry also suffered for 2 years straight, with production falling as a result of weakened demand. To prevent this from happening again, South Korea's local governments have been setting up events all around the country over the past few weeks to promote the safety of local seafood and encourage consumption.
I'm here at one of the many events to help local fisheries sell products at a discounted price for consumers. This particular sale is supported by the local government of Gangwon-do province in the northeastern area of the country.
Booths from 6 different branches of the National Federation of Fisheries Cooperatives in the region are selling local produce like dried seaweed, scallops and octopus ahead of the national Thanksgiving holiday, Chuseok.
Our #1 priority is to promote the safety of our seafood. With Chuseok coming up, we hope that people will have seafood on the table and feel reassured about its safety. We hope that things will return to normal soon, and we're focusing on minimizing the damage to our fishermen.
These discount events have been successful in selling products so far, with many stalls at this event selling out in just an hour.
I wanted to buy everything here, but it all sold out. So I only managed to buy some squid, seaweed and pollock.
People were able to buy products at a 30% discount, and merchants expressed their hope for more events like this.
I hope that regular events like this can be held to revitalize the local economy.
Local governments are also thinking of ways to directly provide financial support for fishermen.
We're currently planning on providing more direct support for fishermen, such as funding the cost of fuel for fishing boats and so on.
On top of discount events, buyers can receive coupons worth up to around 30% of the total amount they've spent at traditional fishery markets this month. This exchange coupon event is usually available during national holidays, such as Chuseok coming up at the end of the month, but will run throughout the entirety of the month this year after the government pledged nearly $30 million to make this happen. Buyers just need to show receipts from their purchases at market stalls at the coupon exchange booth to be issued their coupons.
But before local governments can promote their products to consumers, they first need to verify the safety of seafood with radiation detection machines such as this.
Every day, this laboratory in Gyeonggi-do district receives hundreds of seafood samples from various local markets and school catering companies before it's sold and served to consumers. These are placed in a gamma-ray spectrometer, which then detects whether the samples are radioactive or not. Results from the detector are recorded and posted on the websites of local markets and schools to ease buyers' and parents' concerns. With transparent and regular sharing of information, discount sales and direct funding for fishermen, local governments hope to lessen the impact the release of treated wastewater has on the South Korean fishing industry. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
In 2023, South Korea experienced its fourth hottest summer on record. And the authorities say it's a rare event to see monthly average temperatures from June to August, all higher than annual averages. This year is also making headlines globally for record-breaking heat waves and violent rainstorms. Shin Se-byuk reports.
The summer of 2023 was the fourth hottest for South Korea. According to data from the Korea Meteorological Administration on Thursday, the nationwide average temperature from June to August this year was 24.7 degrees Celsius. That's a full degree above the norm, ranking the period as the fourth highest on record. Monthly average temperatures for the 3 summer months all surpassed annual averages, a rare occurrence that has happened only 3 times in the past half-century. Precipitation levels were also higher, with total summer rainfall over these months reaching nearly 1,020 millimeters, over 1 meter. That's well above the summer average of 727 millimeters. Despite this higher-than-usual precipitation, there were only 2 more rainy days than usual, indicating more frequent concentrated downpours. Temperature records were also shattered worldwide. Japan experienced its highest summer temperatures in 125 years, while the United States and European cities also witnessed record-breaking highs. In Phoenix, Arizona, the temperature exceeded 43 degrees Celsius for 31 consecutive days, setting a new record for the longest heat wave. Globally, June to August saw the highest ever recorded average surface air temperature of 16.8 degrees Celsius, surpassing the 2019 record by almost 0.3 degrees. In particular, the global average for the month of August was 16.8 degrees, which is 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. That is the not-to-exceed target for slowing climate change set by the 2015 Paris Agreement. So far, the year 2023 is the second hottest on record, just behind 2016. The World Meteorological Organization in its May report said there was a 98% chance that at least one of the next 5 years will be the hottest on record. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
We'll see 2 contrasting weather patterns across the nation tomorrow. Western regions, including Seoul, will be under stifling heat with daytime highs of 31 degrees Celsius. This is about 4 degrees higher than the seasonal average. For parts of the east, such as Daegwallyeong and Gangwon-do province, maximum temperatures will only get up to 23 degrees. And regardless of the readings, UV ray index will stand in the very high range nationwide. The peak hours for sun exposure are in between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Exposure to extreme UV rays may lead to some serious skin aggravation. Make sure to wear your sun protective items when heading out. And strong winds are in the forecast for the East Coast. For the coastlines of Gyeongsang-do province, strong wind alerts are in place. The East Coast may even see high waves across the coastlines. And central regions will be under clear skies, while the south will see cloudy spells. Tomorrow's Seoul will be starting off at 20 degrees. And sunny skies will dominate nationwide. As for the daily highs, Seoul will peak at 31 degrees. Daejeon 29, Gyeongju will be topping out at 27 degrees. And mostly clear skies are expected until this weekend in Seoul, along with unseasonable heat. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is News Center for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.